Disclaimer! We like these characters because they are fictional and well written. Liking fictional characters does not mean condoning their actions. Please learn the difference.
Check the description for the spoiler warnings of various shows and characters.
Heart. We're going to be talking about our most concerning favorite characters.
Yeah!
Now, it's more like we understand objectively that they're concerning because of their design, their actions, whatever.
Yeah.
But we still like them anyway.
Yeah. They're more characters that people will definitely side-eye us
Yeah,
for.
we get side-eyes for it.
Yeah.
And, like, explaining it is annoying.
in most of my cases, I have had people actively ask me why. So, I suppose... Oh, actually, no, almost all of them, yes.
I, thankfully, have not had much of a problem. The only one is my default one.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And then my first one, I've had somebody, like, being really mean to me on Tumblr about it. And that was the extent of it.
Yeah, usually it's always someone on Tumblr.
It's always Tumblr. So we're going to be talking about our quote-unquote most concerning characters.
Yep.
And we have some guidelines. So number 5 is not actually a concerning character. It's more the blueprint, like the middle ground of the default character we naturally go towards.
Yeah.
And then it's like the pattern character essentially. I will explain it. I'll have to explain mine to the fan.
Of course, yeah.
I feel like any sane fan will understand my blueprint, but anybody who has a bias will not understand.
No.
But that's okay. You're allowed to be wrong. So number 5 is the blueprint, like best character where we're like, this is the blueprint. Any character like this makes me happy.
Yeah.
Characters 4 to 1 it should be a red flag, but our favorite color is red.
Yep.
And we've done basically 2 rules. We can only have 1 character per franchise. So if I say my favorite character from Bleach, I cannot have a second favorite character from Bleach. It has to be different.
I must shed a tear for every Batman villain.
Yeah, Emily really had to think about this.
I
Emily
did,
struggled with this list.
I really did.
And then for some variety, we decided to, one of them should be one of each other's characters.
Yeah. As a fun little meme.
So we'll be the ones mainly talking about our own characters when they come on the list to explain like why they're concerning, and then we'll then explain why we like them.
Yeah.
Cool? Everybody happy? Cool?
I think
Great.
so.
Awesome.
Everyone shout yes if you're really happy with what we just said.
Now, to start things off.
Yeah.
I have found really, images that beautifully represent generally what to expect from our favorite characters.
Yeah.
Now, starting off, this is the embodiment of my favorite characters, generally speaking.
Yeah.
We agree.
I agree.
We agree.
Every character you show me looks exactly like that. Every time you're like, look at my new favorite character! And it's just a dude that's really buff and also really big.
Big boomers.
Yeah.
And then this is Emily's.
Yeah.
And then... Literally though, because every single time you're like, I like this character, and I'm like, wow, the intelligent character that is blinded by that arrogance. That is their downfall.
Yeah. They're usually very determined people, I like to think, as well. That's a good quality, I think, in most of the characters I like. But it does not outweigh the bad qualities.
No.
Because they are all horrible people.
Yeah, and that's okay, because they're
Apart from
fake.
maybe the first one, but you know.
Yeah, well, the first one is more of a nunuisance to the government, if anything.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, she's just a fun meme.
Yeah. Right, so we're starting off with our blueprints on number 5.
Woo!
Anybody who's been on my channel for a certain amount of time will not be surprised by this. If you're a My Hero Academia fan, and one of the insane ones, hold on to your seats, pretty please.
Indeed, yes.
My number 5 blueprint character is Endeavor.
Wow! I would never have guessed!
Emily has to hear me talk about him like every single day.
Oh yeah, it's okay, she has to hear me talk about most of my characters every day, so it's fine.
He's standing proud and tall on my shelf.
He's very handsome.
I need a new figurine. I'm gonna go get a second plushie because he's lonely. I need a second one. I need a second Endeavor plushie. It's great.
One of my favourite juxtapositions about this character that you've shown me at least is the insane amount of comments you get saying that he's horrible. And then his actual list of crimes.
Yeah, it was like 4 things.
You see it, and you're like, why do you think that?
Yeah, it's crazy. Because Emily and I went to just a comparison, just to see like how bad our characters were. We went onto the villains wiki, and there's like 4 things on Endeavor's list. There's like, well, obviously there's like the domestic violence, the abuse to Shoto. There's, what was it? Assault towards the villains, I think, is because
so if you...
if it's a character's a villain, he does not hold back.
Yeah, if you attack somebody first, that counts legally as assault, so technically Batman has assaulted people. Like, every superhero, every superhero you know has committed that crime also. It's very likely.
So I think the main thing people will be like, why him? It's because he's personally affected their own favorite character, and I feel a lot of people relate to the kids in many ways.
Oh yeah.
Which I completely understand. I'm not like, I know there's some fans out there of Endeavor who like justify his past actions, which completely defies the point of his character. The point of his character is that he did bad stuff. And he's become aware of how bad it really was. He's gotten out of his obsession, because the problem is he was obsessed, which is why he was so blinded and couldn't realize what he was doing was stupid.
Yeah.
And then he got out of that and then wants to atone to be better, and he's not asking for forgiveness.
Yes.
He doesn't want to be forgiven necessarily, he just wants to do better. If somebody forgives him along the way, fine, but it's not about that. And so when somebody's like, so when I see a fan being like, oh, he didn't actually do anything wrong, I'm like, no. He did do wrong. That's what's interesting about him. What I liked about him is that he's the I think the first thing that people are always like, oh, you didn't like him in season 2 though, right? And I'm like, no. He arrived on screen and I was like, fuck. Damn it. 6'5", red-headed, with blue eyes, is like among the best at what he does. Has fire. I was like, shit.
I had that with some of mine too. I get it.
I see his and I was like, oh no, he's an asshole. Damn it. Another to the list. Another to the rotor of dickheads.
What I think is funny specifically, just as like a general comment, is almost all of your favourite characters are questionable. I'd say like maybe 10% of mine are, but that might be just because I have more favourite characters.
I think you have way more favourite characters than me. Yeah. But Endeavor, but the thing I like, some people are like, oh, you didn't like him in season 2. I was like, no, I loved him in season 2.
Yeah.
But I loved him more in season 4 and stuff with his development.
Yeah.
But I'm a person who, if I see an arsehole character that has a juxtaposition to them, I love them immediately. So for example, he's like he's an arsehole dad, right? We all agree on that.
Yes.
However, he's the number 2 hero with the most solved cases in entire history, and he's an amazing mentor to his sidekicks. They're very loyal to him.
Yes.
And the only reason he's not number 1 is because his approval ratings aren't higher, but he's still number 4.
Yeah.
Or like number 4, number 5. He's still number 4 when he becomes number 1. And he says himself that if the only thing he cared about was the title of being number 1, all he had to do was to be a people pleaser and smile to the camera like All Might does, but that's not his character, that's not what it was about. He wanted to become stronger than All Might specifically. It wasn't about being number 1.
Yeah.
And so obviously we didn't know that in season 2, but already that juxtaposition of being objectively a really, really good hero at his job, like not heroic as in like a character trait, but like objectively really good at his pro-hero job.
Yeah.
Versus his attitude towards Shoto and his obsession, I was like, that's such an interesting dynamic. There's got to be more to this character. And lo and behold, there was, because Horikoshi is awesome. So it's like, yeah, okay, he's a dick, but like, there's more to it than just that. Yeah. And I really love that, and it's really interesting to me. And I just love everything about him. I love his character quirks. He's really, like, cute in his little socially awkward ways. What I love about him, right, is that when he's, like, in a hero mode, he's completely competent. He's amazing. He knows what to do. He's, like, really good. Like, he's hyper aware. He has, like, no collateral damage. He's objectively the best at his job.
Like I said,
that society has.
The other day, I was very happy to see, and or rather confused as to why he didn't have arson on his list.
Yeah, because
but you said no, he's actually really careful.
Yeah. Like in his fight, you know the prominence burn scene I showed you?
Yeah.
He's flying upwards because he has to release all of that fire to kill Vonomu. And he literally says, it's like, I have to go higher and higher so then I don't have to worry about the buildings around me.
That's good.
That's literally said in the anime, in the show.
That is heroic.
He's so cool. He's so cool. I love him so much. He's so cool. There's so many interesting things about him. If somebody says, oh, I can see that he's objectively a well-written character, but I don't like what he did, I can 100% get that. Like, if they still don't like him, but they can see that he's objectively a well-written character, that's their business. I don't care. But I don't like the ones who are like, oh, he's worse than every villain to ever exist ever.
He really isn't.
And it's like, okay, Endeavor is a baby. Is vanilla compared to almost every other character ever.
Yeah.
The only reason people have a gripe with him is because he's personally affected popular characters.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but it's also hypocritical because then they have other favorite characters who have done so much more war crimes, but because they're Uwu baby, that's okay. They're allowed to get away with it.
A certain character has a scrollable crimes list.
Darby! It's like, I've literally seen people being like, oh, but he killed, it's like somebody said, oh, he killed 30 characters, and it's like 30 people. It's like, yeah, but they're 30 people we don't care about, so it doesn't matter, like, they're nameless characters.
Oh
it's like,
God.
that doesn't change the fact that he's killed 30 people.
There's still 30 individual lives.
And he also tried to kill both of his brothers, and he's making attempts on the rest of his family.
Yeah.
They didn't go through with it, because thankfully Endeavor and Co were there, but it still happened. He's still trying. Anyway.
But yeah.
My default. I love him dearly. All of you can go cry about it. Alright, Emily's blueprint character.
My queen, Mad Maggie from
it.
Apex Legends.
Woo! I know nothing about her.
I love Maggie. Like, she's a very fairly recent character. I think she came out like a couple years ago. Maybe not even that. A couple months maybe. But like she was like the first character in Apex at least that I looked at and immediately was like, this, I love you. You are amazing. I absolutely love her like entire design. I love her character.
Yeah, she's really badass.
She's very, very self-assured and she's really, really like determined to get like what she like. I can't. It's not exactly 100% clear what she's doing. Realistically, she is a freedom fighter.
Yeah.
For what's it called? Her country that she's from, which I assume is some kind of Space Australia.
Space Australia.
She and a Fuse were like fighting and stuff to try and get like free basically from their government. And eventually, but she essentially just completely defies every single law to try and get what she wants.
Yeah, I think the only crimes like that were like the official crimes that like when she was tried, the crimes that she was given was like a conspiracy against the government and like starting riots.
Yeah, and like treasonizing.
Yeah, I guess.
Some kind of like that. But like, yeah, she's really cool. I think she's the first like war criminal or criminal in general to be put into the Apex games, technically. Next to, well, I guess in a way, actually no, because there's Caustic as well, who is very ethically confusing character. He was originally going to be on my list.
No, then we had to oust him.
Yeah, but I chose Maggie instead, because I really liked Maggie more. Horizon's too nice to be on this list, by the way. Horizon is objectively my favorite Apex character, but she's just too nice. She's too nice to be. She's not questionable. People wouldn't question me about that. I have had people question that I liked Maggie though. I don't know why necessarily. I think it's because she's like sort of like an older woman and she's kind of really assertive and really, really like forward.
I guess it's because maybe she's intimidating.
Yeah, she's quite an intimidating
People
person.
find her intimidating, so they don't get it.
Yeah, she's also kind of grudgy as well.
Which I guess is one of those things of it's maybe just not to the mainstream taste, but it's your tastes. I guess it's maybe also because she's like one of the, like you said, she's one of the newer characters.
Yeah,
it's like you have to explain her a little bit more than the others.
Oh yeah.
Well, the others had more times to be like looked into and liked.
Yeah. I think a lot of the other characters as well have more of a story going on at the moment. I think what I liked about Maggie, especially from her trailers, every single one of her trailers is really, really good because they're all quite cinematically nice.
Yeah.
And they all perfectly show exactly what she wants, exactly why she's there. I think actually she's the only. I think what I meant earlier was she was the first person to be put in the Apex games that didn't technically want to be there.
Ah, I see.
Because that was her punishment. She was sent in there as a punishment, but no one like killed her yet, so she's like super cocky about it. So yeah, I think that's what I like about her. It's again, it's arrogance.
And it's like knows what she's about. Yeah. The arrogance.
I think it's deserved arrogance.
Yeah.
From her specifically. The other characters on this list don't really have deserved arrogance.
Especially not your number 4.
No,
he doesn't.
Not even my number 1, especially as well. To be completely real.
Yeah. No, but I understand. I get it.
She's got really cool abilities that I love. You
also just really like badass women.
Yeah. I really like some badass ladies. for hindsight, Poison Ivy was going to be on this list, but there's another Batman character on here. Some of you may even know who that is already. Who knows?
And those of you who know Emily for more than 2 seconds will know exactly who that character is.
I think it's the first thing I introduce myself with,
like,
other than my name. It's like my name and then that. But yeah, she's got quite assertive powers and abilities, which is why I think I like playing as her. I usually play defensive characters like Caustic, or I used to anyway. Like he kind of like sets traps for people.
Yeah.
But if you haven't played Apex, Mad Maggie is one of the best assertive characters you could play, in my opinion, because she has like a riot drill that you can shoot into a wall, and then through the other side like loads of fire will come out.
Oh, awesome.
And it can get, so if you've like shot somebody and they're like one hit away from dying, and you just shoot that other wall and they're trying to hide behind it and heal, it'll just kill them after you've done that. So it's really useful. Stuff like that, trying to get people out of the way or like in a different place.
It's kind of rebellious types of weapons, isn't it?
Yeah. She runs faster if she has a shotgun, so she's really good close range. And her ultimate ability is like she throws this like giant ball thing and it explodes at people.
Awesome.
And it drops like speed enhancing things for your team, so it's really, really good. Yeah, I think she's just really cool.
Yeah. No, I get it.
I love her design.
Yeah, this looks dope.
She's sharp.
We're gonna go into our number 4s. My number 4
oh my god.
is Emily reminded me of this.
Yes,
and I was like, oh god, no.
You might be right.
Skekmal. Like the hunter from I forgot the title completely.
The Dark Crystal series. I can't remember.
The dark. He's a puppet.
Age of Resistance. He is a puppet. Yes.
Human-sized.
A human is in the puppet.
A human-sized puppet.
And sometimes CGI.
Well, he's the only one who needs CGI because his movements are too complicated for a puppet.
Yes, yeah. He was the most complicated one.
I saw him and I was like...
I knew for a fact you were going to do that. Like, the second... I've seen this show about 5 times. I love it so much. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it so highly.
Oh, absolutely, on Netflix. It's so good.
People are sleeping on it.
We watched it, like, pretty quickly. We went through it pretty quickly.
Yeah. We could not take our eyes off it, basically, because it was such a magnificent show.
It's so good. Alright, so I love Skekmal. So, the sort of... I completely forgot all the things' names. So, Skeksis are basically, like, the main villains / leaders.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Of the show, yeah.
And Skekmal is like a hunter, and he basically goes after stuff and kills stuff, essentially. Yeah. But he's like, in a weird way, he's the most, like, honest of the Skeksis.
Oh, yeah.
And he's also the most competent in terms of fighting.
Oh, yeah, they're all completely useless.
I really like that in characters when they can fight good.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I just like a character who can, like, really stand their ground.
Yeah.
And what I like about Skekmal is that, well, all of the other Skeksis are a threat. He's, like, the most, like, fast, oncoming threat. Or, like, we've got to deal with this now.
He is the scariest.
Oh, he's the scariest. Yeah. And also, interestingly, he was called the most beautiful Skeksis. That is his thing.
Aww.
And I read that on the wiki, that he was, that's what he was described as by somebody.
He blushed.
He blushed. But he just looks really cool. He's really big. It's like, the Skeksis have 4 arms, right?
Yes, they
and
all,
he's
they
the
all
only one who utilizes it.
Yeah, he's the only one who uses it.
I think that's what I really appreciate. Like, okay, sure, he's a poacher. He kills.
Sure, he kills people.
He's going after the main characters. He doesn't want the resistance to happen like the others, but he does want to fight.
Yes.
And he's really good at what he does, and he utilizes all of his abilities to succeed his goal. And I really appreciate that. And also his design is so cool.
His design is the peak.
His design's so awesome. And I liked his voice. I remember liking his voice as well.
Oh, his voice is really good.
So that's my number 4. It gets worse from here, surprisingly.
Yeah,
poacher who hunts little elf-like things, innocent little elf-like things for fun, and who wants to fight, who wants a bloody war.
Literally contributes to the entire genocide of an entire race.
Yeah, you think that'd be the worst? No.
To be fair, I think he's the most indifferent as to whether or not that happens because he's so independent compared to the rest of the Skeksis.
I love a character who's independent.
All the others are like desperate to live. Yeah. And he's the one that wants to be alive the most, ironically.
Yeah, he's the one who's actually doing something.
Yeah, he's actually living his life.
Alright. Emily's number 4.
Woo!
Arahan! Who's my character.
The second I saw him, I knew that I loved him. Unfortunately, I can't have him.
No.
Because he is taken by someone who deserves him more than me.
Eric would appreciate him.
Yeah, I like Eric a lot too.
So I'm going to talk a bit about Arahan. Arahan is an arrogant ass.
Woo!
He has
Say less.
You had arrogant. You're like
Yeah, no, this was mine.
But it's like, okay, so I'll say stuff without without it being spoilers.
Yes.
But essentially, Arahan is a situation of he lost his mother quite young.
Yes.
And he never got over it. And he had and his father tried to encourage him not to get over it, but to make steps to, go through the mourning process. Yeah. And Arahan just straight up refused and just held on to the past desperately.
Oh, I love it. It's dramatic.
Essentially. And so when his dad was like, his dad's like a magician type of thing.
Yeah.
Again, is not accurate, but that's okay. His dad's like some sort of like leader type of thing, and he was gonna have Arahan like inherit it, but then he saw like how unwell emotionally Arahan was.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, you're clearly not well enough to I don't want to put all this pressure on you if you're not gonna be able if you're gonna keep on mourning, that's fine, but I don't want to put this pressure on you of being a leader.
Yeah.
And having to do all these things. And so instead he looked to Arahan's cousin, who suddenly out of nowhere was like, oh, I have magic too, by the way. And so he's like, all right, well, you come do this thing. And Arahan took that as, they all hated me.
They all hated me.
He pushed me to the side. He abandoned me, which is not the case. His dad was trying to be a nice thing. His dad explained it to him exactly what's happening. And Arahan just his selective hearing was like, he doesn't think I'm good enough. Essentially, which is not what happened.
Yeah.
But he's a very much, he's very Delulu.
I love him.
He's very Delulu.
I loved him, the second I saw him. There's something about, the pirate shirts.
Yeah, I get it.
Or, the blouses. I can't tell, you know what I mean, poet shirts.
I know exactly.
I love that style
I know
of clothing.
exactly.
I'd give it to all my characters
He's,
if I could.
Arahan is very, what do you call it? Dark
academia.
Dark academia vibes, very much so. And he's very, old like that, old school like that.
He's beautiful.
And bunch of stuff. And basically, Arahan's whole thing is that he hates anything that's alive. And I mean anything that's alive.
Yeah.
He doesn't like humans. He doesn't like animals. He's jealous of plants because his husband Eric has a greenhouse, right?
Yes.
And Eric has to tend to his plants. And whenever he does, Arahan's like, "Why did you tend to me? What about me?" And Eric's like, "I have to water the plants." And Arahan's like, "I should have never got to use that greenhouse." And Eric's like, "Well, maybe if we could have a kid or could have a dog, I wouldn't need a greenhouse." Like, I don't like children. It's like, this is why I have a greenhouse. So it's essentially just them bickering like that. So Eric loves everything, essentially.
Yes, they are
especially
perfect
after
together.
meeting Arahan. Before he was kind of blasé about everything, and then he met Arahan, and his eyes had opened up to the beauty of the world. And Eric was like, "Wow, I love everything." And then Arahan was like, "I hate everything, and I could destroy everything, but that would make Eric sad, so I'm not gonna do it."
It's kind of us, to be honest. In a platonic way, I suppose. We were just there I love everything for no reason, and then you're just there
It's like,
it's alright.
Alright, I guess.
Mid. You call everything mid. Just go past the most beautiful sight in the sky.
It's I've seen it 500 times.
Yeah, you're I don't care.
I've seen it too many times, and I get it already.
I'm not taking a picture of it.
I get it. I'm like, Emily, my place is to be. We're gonna be late for the train.
But yeah, I think what I liked most about him, at least from what you'd explained to me, because again, I don't want spoilers massively for everything, but I think with something about him being so. I don't know what it is about the characters I usually like. Again, it's arrogance, I guess. But it's he holds himself in a specific way that just makes me so happy. I have no idea why. I think it's actually it might be people that have a really big ego, but it gets snapped immediately because of one thing.
Yeah.
Something really tiny happens and then they break down.
Essentially, yeah.
I love those kind of characters.
Yeah, Arahan doesn't have any of that, but Eric is that for him.
Yeah.
Arahan will be causing chaos just to be funny, and Eric will be like, "Alright, you've had your fun, I want to go home." And Arahan's like, I'm just getting started. And I was like, "No, it's 9 p.m, I'm tired." Essentially. It's very funny. And Arahan is crazy powerful as well. I still need to explore What about him is crazy powerful?
He's my OP man.
But he's like meant to be OP.
Yeah.
But
it's more the threat of him that I like.
And essentially Eric is like, oh, don't kill anyone. And Arahan's like,
but babe.
but why? It went to murder.
Why did you kill that person? Looked at me funny. He looked at me funny, bro.
He literally would if he could. A child stares at him and is like, I will gouge your eyeballs. And the baby's like, what the fuck? So yeah, Arahan is like, but he's like arrogant to like blind arrogance.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not even funny. Up his own ass.
Yeah, basically. A stick in his butt.
To Delulu levels.
Delulu king.
He's very Delulu, but like, he kind of deserves it. My number 3 is Prophet!
What?
Which, look at him. Look at him.
Oh, I should have got his crime list.
It's Emily. It's endless. It doesn't end.
Think of every crime. There you go. That's Prophet. Apart from anything to do with feminism. Because this man is weirdly good with women.
He'll destroy your house, but he won't hurt you.
He'll respect your wife, but he'll burn your house down.
Yeah, he'll punch you in the face, but respect your wife.
Yeah. That's this man's life.
He'll human sacrifice you, but like he'll do it.
He'll eat your heart respectfully with like a nice Chianti.
Yeah, so he has light cannibalism on the list.
He's only ever eaten one heart. It's not that big of a deal.
Cannibalism on my favourite characters will be reappearing.
Yeah, it will be reappearing. Yeah. That's a surprise clue that we'll keep for later.
That's a surprise clue for number 1. Keep it in mind.
I won't go too far into spoilers or anything, again, because I kind of want Roughshod to be a thing that comes out.
You can just... you can... Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, the Roughshod as a concept is gay.
I mean, is it not?
It's not like half the characters are gay.
Exactly.
But like, yeah, Prophet is a crazy Delulu king, just like Arahan, but if anything, probably worse, I reckon. Arahan's threatening.
Yeah.
Prophet is chaotically insane to the point where...
Cult leader. You say cray cult leader.
Very unpredictable, I think. Arahan was at least somewhat predictable.
Arahan is your Saturday morning villain.
Yeah,
who could be Thanos, but decides not to.
Yeah. Out of respect for one person, he doesn't kill everyone. Which is a very thin piece of wire, I imagine.
Yeah, very thin ice.
Prophet would not think and kill an entire family because he felt like it, I guess, or because God quote unquote told him to.
Oh yeah, he's crazy.
Yeah,
we love that for him.
But we love him. Yeah, he doesn't like. I rewrote him. I think he's the one character me and Jamie have rewritten about 5 different times.
Oh yeah, I know.
Because we just could not get exactly what we wanted down, and a bunch of stereotypes happen.
because you want him to be his own thing, not connected to any stereotype, and making that really clear is quite hard.
Yeah, it was really difficult to narrow down exactly how we wanted to portray him, so we just kind of took away some of the old stuff. Well, I won't elaborate into it here. I'm sure at some point down the line I will have to.
I love him, no matter what take he is.
Yeah!
Didn't you say you designed him based off, like, my preferences?
I designed his appearance.
Yeah.
Off of what I would assume would be your perfect man.
Yeah, essentially. And then and then I was like, oh man, he's great. And then you just gave him more and more and more and more. And I was like, shit!
I made him slightly chubbier.
Yeah, I love it.
Recently, with a bit of mass to him.
Yeah!
Because I kind of liked that a little bit more than him just being a skinny, buff guy.
I can grip his hips better, it's fine.
Exactly! Go to horny jail! I'm gonna hit you with the microphone.
Don't hit me with the microphone, it's very expensive! It's expensive! I don't care, my skull can be replaced, the microphone cannot!
All of his appearance will be explained at some point in the comics.
Eventually.
I promise you.
I love him dearly. He's a little cray-cray.
If he was real, he would be terrifying.
Yeah,
realistically.
I would be in his cult, to be fair.
That's because you're delusional.
I'd see his hot piece of ass. I'd be like, here I
go. You'd be like, I'm gonna tap him, and then leave him.
I'd be like, I can give you a good time, but I'll be gone in the morning. Babe. Anyway.
But yeah, he's He's very nuanced, I will
love
say.
That. That's
he's
why I
not
like
a very
him.
black and white villain. He's got a lot to him.
He's like
that
an onion.
I'm so excited
There's
to
layers.
uncrack.
I know, and I love hearing about it.
It's so good.
And it's great. And whenever you give him a new detail, I'm like,
just when you think you've cracked open the egg,
it just gets
a second shell is underneath the other egg, and it's like, what? It's like a Russian doll.
It's like a Russian doll. Of an
yeah,
egg.
you open up the Russian doll. It's like, oh no, there's more. This isn't just a toy that you open.
All right, Emily's number 3, and to no surprise, wow, he's pathetic.
It's the Riddler. I could talk about the Riddler for 10 years.
She literally could.
If I could.
She could. She's loved him for like 20 plus years.
Since I was a child. I think when I was like, okay, I'll do a little backstory on why I like him, because I think people will be interested. All 5 of you that know who I am.
For the concerning part, right, is that he's a Batman villain and he's obsessed with riddles.
Yeah, that's the gist of it. When I was a kid, I used to think my favorite character in Batman was Harley Quinn, and it kind of was because I wanted to be her.
Yeah.
Right. The second I saw her, I was like, oh, she looks just like me. She does exactly what I want to do, or at least when I was a kid, what I wanted to do. But now that I'm older, I noticed throughout, even before that, and throughout most of my life, the Riddler has been the main person that I've enjoyed as a character.
That's so funny to me.
Like, when I was younger, I learnt the entire script of Batman Forever, and I got my brother Charlie involved, and, you know, they would often play, Two-Face, and I would be Riddler. So I just know all of the Riddler's lines in Batman Forever, for no reason other than I liked him.
Normal behaviour, for sure.
Yeah, when I was 5, I had a crush on Jim Carrey's Riddler. And then, as I got older, it's like, every single Riddler that I saw, I just loved him. Like, he's just so cool.
Including Lego Batman.
Lego, we're not talking about that. Well, actually, no, let's do it.
Lego Batman!
When I was, like, 7 or 9 that came out, I think I was, like, roughly 8 years old.
Yeah. When
that game came out. And the second every time he did something silly goofy, I just loved him. I fell in love with the Lego piece of the Riddler as a kid.
It's valid. No, it's valid. I like a human-sized puppet. I can't talk.
That's true.
I can't talk.
But like as I got older again, like even now, I think my favorite Riddlers change all the time because I just love all of them. Almost every version of him, except Bald Riddler, are really, really good. Actually, no, there is something worse than Bald Riddler.
What?
It involves having his hair cut like a question mark, and it looks terrible.
Oh yeah, that's fine. But it's only for one panel. It's alright.
It's like there's like 2 versions of it.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
One of them is he's bald and he has just like a bunch of question marks tattooed on his head.
Oh.
It looks terrible. He's supposed to look way better than that. He's a gentleman.
I'd say the most consistent one, at least that you've talked to me about, is the Arkham games Riddler.
Yes.
So he's probably like the default.
He's my favorite.
But you also like the Batman Riddler.
I do like the Batman Riddler. I think he's good. I think a lot of people mistake different design for bad version.
Yeah.
I think I don't necessarily like his Zodiac Killer design either.
No.
But I don't think I think it makes sense within the context of that movie specifically. So it works.
Yeah.
A lot of people really like Corey Michael Smith's Riddler. I love Corey Michael Smith's Riddler. He's really, really good. I think his costume looks a little too shiny. I don't know how to explain it. It kind of looks like a Party City thing. I think most Gotham costumes look a bit like a Party City costume.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
But I don't really put it against him. I really like the Gotham show Riddler. He is arguably the most accurate live-action Riddler.
And then the 60 shows one.
Frank Gorshin
Yeah.
is probably my favourite live-action Riddler.
Yeah, he's cute.
I love Frank Gorshin.
Whenever I think of Riddler, that's the face that comes to mind.
Really?
Yeah,
is
to
it?
me.
That's really cool.
It's just because it's like a little bit older and kind of like suave, but also really goofy.
The details on his suit are really cool.
Yeah, I love it.
I really love it. I would absolutely love to have a suit replica of that.
That'd be awesome.
So cool.
I think the reason people would like side-eye you about the Riddler is not necessarily because because obviously we have Joker, right?
Yeah.
But everybody simps for.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily about, I think it's probably because, it's not even because what he's done is necessarily bad, because, you know, it's DC, everybody's done something bad. It's more so because he's kind of like, looks pathetic, and people think he's just kind of a loser.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, why do you like him? Why do you like
all the characters in Batman there are, why him specifically?
Like, people, I think, understand Scarecrow in, like, the fear aspect, but then they're like, this guy just does cringe puzzles, like, what the fuck?
I don't know, I think his backstory has a lot to do with it.
I agree.
Because I just really like it, and also I think I relate a lot to his character. Maybe not the narcissistic. No. the more negative traits less so, but I think I understand him to an extent.
Yeah.
But I also really love just all of his stories are just centered around a lot of intelligent plot lines usually. Some people can't write him for shit.
No, but when it's well written, it's really well written.
Yeah. When, like, one of my favorite comics is that one I showed you.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called though. I think it's Questions Multiply the Mystery or something.
Yeah, something like that. It's basically about his backstory and everything.
Yeah, I recommend that highly. It's a really, really good comic.
He's also kind of just like, for example, I was talking specifically about Arkham games, Riddler. It's interesting seeing through the games his, like, not development, but, like, his destruction in a way.
Yeah,
because he becomes, with each time Batman wins, he becomes more and more obsessed.
Yeah, he cares less and less about his well-being as it goes on, and that's why he looks the way he does. I think a lot of people are really upset with his design in the last game, but I think it makes sense.
It makes sense for the story.
Yeah. I don't like it either, but I think it's just kind of, it contextually, it would happen that way.
Yeah.
And I think, like, a lot of people are like, oh man, I wish he had, like, more of an engineer's sort of thing going on, and I was like, yeah, that is kind of, like, the bare minimum of what I expected. But I suppose it doesn't really hugely matter. I think Arkham Riddler specifically is the one people side-eye me for the most, because I think I think a lot of people just have trauma from collecting the trophies.
Yeah, trying to collect all the trophies. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. You finally got all of them.
I wouldn't have done it without your help, to be clear.
No,
if it wasn't for your help, I would have just given up. It's so tedious.
It was it's really tedious. I remember a few of my friends played it about a year ago or something like that, and they were telling me how, like, they were really angry that they had to look up, like, the majority of the riddles. Yeah. Like, they shouldn't have to do that. I understand that with Arkham Knight specifically. I think Arkham Asylum is fairly fun to do.
Yeah, Arkham Asylum's fun.
Yeah.
I like those ones, because they're usually a bit clever as well, but I feel like Arkham City is just too many.
Yeah, City had too many.
Arkham Knight, they're weirdly finicky.
Yeah, I think Arkham Knight is just a mix of a bunch of collectibles that really did not need to exist. Yeah. Because, like, a lot of people were complaining about the trophies, so I don't know why they would add more things to do.
I don't know, it's a bit tone deaf.
Yeah.
But I think his characterization is quite funny as well.
Oh yeah.
Like the character, like how he interacts with the other characters.
Yes. Yeah.
And like little slip-ups that are easy to miss. Like, for example, when he's like, when he's fighting Batman, and he says like, "Die, father! I mean Batman!" And it's like, man, your daddy issues are showing, King.
I think Wally Wingate might be one of my favorite Riddler voices.
Oh yeah, 100%.
If not, he's the one that I like to hear when I read the comics.
I completely get it.
Kind of like how people hear like Kevin Conroy as Batman, or like Mark Hamill as Joker. Wally Wingate's my
absolutely.
Riddler.
I absolutely see him as like the voice.
Yeah.
But then the face is 60s Batman for me.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Good combination.
Yeah.
We like
There's a lot of really good Riddlers.
Yeah.
It's just they're all kind of hidden in a way.
They're
kind
not
of like
mainstream.
trophies in a way.
You gotta work for it.
Yeah,
you gotta
exactly,
work for your content. I think it's one of those things where people probably side-eye you more because they don't know much about the character. Yeah. And those who like him have made the effort to like really look into his story. A
lot of the Riddler fans I know loads about him, and they really, really care about his character and how he's portrayed. And I loved hearing all of their opinions on Twitter, especially because I was
basically it's you guys have a small fandom for kind of like a minor but essential character.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I guess as people with side eyes, like it's like that.
Because me and you were talking about earlier how I think it was Paul Dini who started this, but it was his detective vigilante arc.
Yeah.
I really love it. I wish they would just make that his canon now.
Make him like an anti-hero sort of thing. A villain to an anti-hero would be really interesting.
Like an actual.
Because it's not the first time that's happened.
No.
So it'd be interesting to keep him going with that.
Yeah, because they just keep retconning it.
Yeah.
And not actually doing anything with it. It's such a good, interesting way of going about his character, especially since like if any villain was gonna become maybe slightly a good person, it would be Edward.
Yeah.
Like, he is one of the best villains for that, because not only did he used to be one of the number one, he also is very, like, in most of his origins, usually his motives for doing what he does is just to impress Batman, but he doesn't have to, like, go that route. He can do it the other way, essentially.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the things where the things he does could easily be turned for good.
Yeah, easily.
In many ways. Because he could easily, because his whole thing is that he wants to make Gotham smarter, essentially.
Yeah.
He could easily do that by teaching people how to be smarter instead of testing them all the time.
Also, I really like the friendly rivalry they have as detectives.
Yeah, it's cute.
Like, I really love that dynamic between him and Batman.
Cute. I love
it's
that.
Really cool. Also, seeing Riddler go up against the other villains is more fun than seeing him work with them, I think, in my opinion, at least.
I get it.
But yeah, he's just a good character.
We like our goobers.
Yeah.
All right.
Bits, he's great.
So, moving on. My second... This one's gonna like support the furry allegations.
This is the first character I knew you liked, even remotely.
Oh yeah, because I was really into it in first year of uni.
Yeah, you drew it on the wall.
I drew it on the wall, yeah. So my second character is Commander Sendak from the Voltron Legendary Defender.
Yeah.
I just think he looks cool, especially in season 5.
He does look really
What
cool.
I liked about, okay, I think this is like a common trait between like my favorite characters in general. They're usually the best at what they do.
Yes.
Or they're like the most competent at something very specific.
Yeah.
So he is the highest ranking, like most loyal commander to Zarkon, who is like the leader of this like dictator species, essentially.
Yeah.
He was like the first antagonist of the first season, essentially.
Yeah.
And then he came back in season 5, and it's a whole thing.
Oh, nice.
And he just looks really cool. Like he is a huge, so tall, so freakishly tall, and I just love that anyway.
You do love your tall boys.
I love my tall boys. I do. My favorite hero is Wolverine, so I'm not like, oh, they can only be tall.
Yeah, of
But
course.
if you're tall as well, it's a huge bonus to me, especially when you're like freakishly tall. When you look freakishly huge.
When it's a ridiculous amount.
I just like, because like for example, Endeavor, right? He's 6'5", so it's not like unbelievably tall.
That's still pretty rare.
But it is really tall. But he's also very wide.
Yes.
And I just like that.
Wide, tall boys.
Yeah, not grotesquely so, because there are some characters that are just like, that's too much.
Yeah,
but like well balanced, which is Sendak is perfect for me, because he's like well balanced.
Yeah.
And he's also like, he's got a bionic eye.
He does.
And he doesn't have, and one of his arms is a prosthetic.
Yeah.
And he's got like a massive paw one, like looks like a massive paw that he can fling around. It's really cool. Is that not connected to his, I think it's like got like a weird little like energy connection here.
Right.
So it means that he can like launch it at people
Oh,
and
right.
like smack people with it. It's
Wow.
really cool.
No, I've never seen
And
this
then
before.
in season 5, he has one that's like 3-pronged claws, and they're way more dangerous, and he can shoot people with it like a laser.
That's really
and it
awesome.
also like he can like extend it really far and smack people in the distance with it. It's just really cool. He's a really good fighter, and
Yeah.
despite his size, he's like really fast.
Oh, okay.
And he just looks, in like his weird gruff commander way, he looks really elegant.
Yeah, I can see what you mean.
I just love his entire species in general. They're called the Gara.
Yeah.
Outside of, okay, Voltron Legendary Defender is a mixed bag. It starts off decent, season 2 and 3 are interesting, and then it just goes downhill.
Yeah, I've heard fairly mixed things about it.
It's we don't talk about the fandom either. But the
Oh, boy.
Gara are the peak. I wish they had just done an entire show just about the Gara.
Yeah.
Because they're so cool. And
do
Sendak
look
is my
awesome.
favorite, and I love all of them.
I like his ears.
His
I like
ears are
a lot.
cute!
It kind of looks like a bat a little bit.
Yeah, I want to squish it. But he is a very high-ranking commander to a dictator species. So, you know, he's destroyed loads of planets.
I could see
he's
why people
tortured
would not
people.
like him.
I think it's quite common for people to say, oh, I really love a villain.
Yes.
But when you say, oh, I prefer the villain over the heroes, some people are like, dude.
I, the majority of the time, like the villains more, but I think that's representative of most people.
I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
But it's just when people are like, for example, the main characters are like Lance, Keith, Shiro, stuff like that. When they have those characters who are very likable, like genuinely interesting characters, really likable, whatever the story does. But then I'm like Sendak, who's basically a one-note villain, essentially. I think there is more depth to him, personally, I think, because like the history of the Gara and everything, and I could go on for hours about it.
Yeah.
That's a common trope with us. We could go for hours about each character, but we've got to limit ourselves.
There are people that think the Riddler is one note.
Which is just ridiculous.
No, he's not. He's very much
But I really, really, really love Sendak.
Yes.
Because there's so much to him that is like under the layers and everything. And he's so cool, and he's so old. He's like millennia old. But he's like on the younger side of the Gara. So he's really, really old. He's like a couple thousand years old or something.
There's something about Purple Catman that's just kind of
I love Purple Catman.
Yeah, Purple Catman.
I've made my own entire like sort of like species based on the Gara because I love them so much and they're underused. But I basically just stole the concept, changed it up so they're not space furries anymore. And just made it my own, and I love them, and they're great. But anyway, I love them. Love him. He's great. I understand how people side-eye me, because again, did commit planet destruction, dictator, all about torture. You know, he did throw Pidge across a room, and among other things, Pidge is like a 14-year-old girl, you know? It's like he did do that. And in his defense, she was one of the Voltron pilots, so she's one of the main enemies, but you know, she's still a baby.
Still a wee baby.
But what I respect about him is his equality. You're an enemy, he beats you up, end of story.
Yeah, I guess so.
Even if you're on his side and you're like, I should be leader, he's like, nah.
He's like, is this baby a potential threat? Get it out of here.
Essentially, and I do love that about I like characters who are consistent like that.
Yeah, I love my consistent kings.
Oh, I like characters who know what they're about and they own it, no matter how awful it is. If somebody says, you're an awful person, and the character's like, heck yeah, I am. I'm just like, I have to respect it. They know what they're about.
Yeah.
They know who they are, which is why I like Arihan, for example, because Arihan is like, you say, you're an arrogant prick, and he's like, yeah, and I have every reason to be. Yeah. And you're like,
he's got it for the reasons.
Yeah, so that's why I like Sendak. It's just because he knows what he's about. He's got his reasons for the way he is, because of his past and everything.
Oh, yeah.
But at the end of the day, I just think he's really, really cool. I don't really like him.
His is probably the best design I've seen.
Oh, I love his design so
in like that entire show.
He looks regal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he just looks important.
Yeah, he is.
Like, really
he's important
cool.
to me. To my heart.
Very
anyway, his list of crimes is long, but
very long.
Not as long as my number one. Woo! All right, Emily's number 2.
Oh goody. It's the governor from The Walking Dead.
TV show specifically.
Yeah, the TV show. I haven't read the comics yet, but I will. I'm aware that he's fairly different in the comics. Not too much different that they're very different characters, but I do absolutely love this TV show. My brother and I, and also my wonderful boyfriend, started watching this TV show together a couple months ago, but because of my MA, we haven't had the chance to fully watch it all, but we finished up to about season 4, I think. And obviously the governor's arc was throughout season 3 to 4, I think. And originally, my favourite villain was Shane. I don't like him as a character anymore, but I like the actor a lot. Yeah. I love the actor to pieces. John Bernthal has my whole heart. He's so funny. But like I think the governor overtook Shane slowly over time. Yeah. Because my brother said to me while I was like, oh, I love Shane, he's such a good villain. And my brother was like, yeah, you're gonna love the governor though. And I was like, no, I won't. Like immediately.
No.
Because I was like, how dare you assume my favourite character will be.
How dare
yeah,
you.
I love Shane too much. He's too cool. And then Shane did something. I won't say what it was necessarily. Not necessarily for spoiler reasons, more so because we might get demonetized rather. But I think when it comes to the governor, I just absolutely over time I just grew more and more attached to him. I don't know why. It was something to do with, I think it's like how personal his gripe with the main people is. Same with Shane really. Shane was also quite personal to Rick specifically, like the main character. But the governor threatens everyone. Yeah. On a very deep personal level. Especially Michonne, I think. Michonne is like cool. Amazing, by the way, who I loved as well. I love Michonne as well. Yeah. If we were making a good boy list, I think I'd put Michonne there.
Michonne's a good boy.
Michonne's so good. But yeah, he's generally the governor is just the best villain so far for me. I haven't seen past like season 4. I know there is another villain coming up. I do not know anything about him at all. I've been skipping every single scenes. Like, if I see any character in The Walking Dead, I just skip it as fast as possible so I don't get any spoilers. I've watched the governor's arc. I've seen him cease to exist. And every single episode since, I've been like, he's gonna come back, right? And Jamie's like, no, he's dead. Just get over it. But I want him to come back. This bitch showed up to the prison with a fucking tank, and it was so good. His whole arc is just so cool to watch. There's something interesting about him. I think it's because he was originally such a family man.
Yeah.
And I think I really like the descent from being that into what he became towards the end.
No, I get that.
To the point where he would mindlessly shoot a child.
Yeah.
Because he just could not be bothered to deal with a walker again, essentially.
Yeah, I get that.
It was insane. It was insanely good. I'm sure there's a lot more nuance to it that I don't even know yet, because I want to rewatch the whole show and kind of analyze it a bit more. But I think with the governor specifically, like he just I don't know what it is. I don't know. It's like he's
kind
got
of
so
like
much
the
to him.
descent to madness. That's interesting, right?
Yes, exactly.
Especially because before the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever it's called. Before the zombie apocalypse, the outbreak, whatever.
Yeah.
He was a family man,
He
so
was
that
a lovely
means
guy,
he was like
yeah.
a goody two shoes, law-abiding citizen, was a good dad, and all of that. And then zombie apocalypse happens. His daughter dies, and then he loses his mind.
Yeah.
And then it's just like a trickle effect of just like him just losing it slowly and surely.
And everything he does, you understand.
Yeah.
As well.
You know it's wrong, but you understand why he does it. There's desperation for it.
One of my favorite moments. It felt out of nowhere, but it was at the same time. It did make sense. It was just he massacred an entire group of his own people.
Yeah, you mentioned
because he
that.
just got so frustrated with them. And
Why?
like,
Because they weren't doing what he thought needed to be done? Or
I can't remember the exact context. It was just I just remember how I felt in that moment when it happened, because I was genuinely in shock. I was like, that was such a good scene. It was really good. It really highlighted exactly how far he's gone at that point.
Especially compared to the first time you see him, I imagine.
Yeah. One of my favorite episodes, it's actually titled Too Far Gone.
Yeah.
And I think he's like the main premise of that episode. It's just such a good arc. I think the whole prison arc is really, really good.
Yeah,
It's
I remember liking that one when I was watching it.
Yeah,
back in the day.
I think season 3 to 4 might be my favorite like sort of bit at the moment. I loved the first 2 seasons. It was really, really good for character setup and everything.
Yeah.
I absolutely love Maggie and Glenn.
But the stakes are a bit higher in the next seasons. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I also love Abraham now. I love Abraham to pieces. Also, the actor for the governor.
Yeah.
Just a lovely guy. It's really funny when you watch videos of him. He does loads of charity work. David Morrissey is his name, and he's absolutely lovely. He's one of the nicest people I follow on social media. He does loads of charity work, and he does a lot. He did Great British Bake Off recently.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I talked about that.
And it was the best thing I've ever seen in my life. He's so lovely, and he's so awkward at the same time.
That's so cute.
No, I think he's great. He's just such an active person, and he travels all the time, and you know, following him in real life is so interesting, and then seeing him as the governor is it's the complete opposite of him. It's so weird.
It's great. I love when actors can do that.
Yeah. It's
Good
actors,
actors.
John Bernthal as well.
Good actors are so good.
You know, John Bernthal plays Shane, and he also plays not the governor. He plays the Punisher.
Yeah, of course he does.
Yeah, and John Bernthal is a lovely dude.
Yeah,
as well.
he's sweet about you.
He's so sweet. Yeah, but I love all of the villain actors so far have been really good.
Yeah.
Like amazing.
So, before we get to number 1, we're gonna have a palate cleanser.
Woo!
Because, oh boy! You want to strap yourself for the last 2.
The last 2
We're
are
gonna
insane.
have honourable mentions in
Honourable
the sense
mentions.
of our good boys.
Yeah,
our
the
good
goodest
boys,
characters.
our goodest characters, our sweetie pies. Just so you guys don't worry about us. These are the examples of our goodest boys on our list.
Yeah.
Oh, that we love dearly. Emily really struggled with
I struggled to narrow it down to a couple.
I struggled coming up with them.
Yeah, that was quite funny.
So, my boys are Daredevil.
Makes sense.
Because I love me ginger, blue eyes, Catholic guilt boy. We love it. Batman, because Batman.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love Batman?
Who does not love
I
Batman?
love me Batman. Piccolo from Dragon Ball, and specifically Nail from the Team 4 Stars
The abridged,
abridged
Dragon Ball
series.
abridged,
Because that's so funny.
Hilarious.
And that is goofy, and I love it. It's just when he talks in his mind, and he's like, it's like, hi, I'm Nell. It's like that. It's just like the way he talks is great.
It's beautiful.
Boromir from Lord of the Rings. I've recently watched those finally.
Yes.
And I love Boromir in the books. His scene in the book legitimately made me emotional. And I don't really get emotional from reading because I can't visualize things. Yeah. So I can't be like, yes, I see the scene. But like the emotions were so strong in that one.
Yeah.
So I love Boromir personally. He's my good boy who had a slip up, but that's because humans are easily corruptible, and he felt immediate guilt afterwards. And I love him dearly.
Boromir is a wonderfully written
he's an amazingly written character, and even in just the first movie, I really like him. Like he doesn't have that many scenes, but the scenes he was in were like made me like, oh.
He's some of my favorite scenes, I think, in the first film. Yeah.
And then Thorin Oakenshield from The Hobbit. And what is it with me liking the good strong leader type men in a group that are easily corrupted? What is that? I like my flawed boys.
Yeah,
I
think flawed just is like.
I like nuance. Yeah, I don't want just my goodest boy. I want my goodest boy with flaws. Yeah, I like a bit of spice.
Thorin at heart is a wonderful person.
He's my baby boy. Yeah,
he's really good.
I have never loved a dwarf more in my heart in my life.
Oh yeah.
But there's a first dwarf, and I've got my boy, my guy.
I think every single dwarf character in The Hobbit is like my favorite.
That's so cute. My women. All right, so Mystique is not my goodest gal, to be clear. She's not, but I love her a lot, and she's cool, and she's badass.
Mystique can be good.
Yeah, specifically comics Mystique, especially like back in the day.
Yeah.
Don't care too much for the live action versions. I don't care much for the modern version. But she's cool, and we like that. She's awesome. Burnin from My Hero Academia is my favorite woman because she looks dope. She's fun. She's eccentric. And she's loud. And I love my sexy loud women.
I think my favourite My Hero woman, if I did watch it, would be Mount Lady.
Yeah!
She looks amazing.
She does. She's great. She's got great character development as well. My favourite Disney princess is Belle.
Nice.
Because I was like, oh my gosh, a bookworm. And she falls in love with the furry guy.
The big guy.
I used to watch that movie on repeat. I love it.
Same. I love that movie.
Catwoman, because Catwoman. I love Batman before I love Catwoman. Batcat.
Objectively the best DC character.
Oh, objectively.
Yeah.
We love Catwoman. She's great. Amazing. She's super interesting.
Yeah.
And then Bulma from Dragon Ball. I also just love Bulma from Dragon Ball generally. I've seen clips of her in Dragon Ball Super. I really like them.
Yeah, Super Bulma's not really funny.
Yeah, she's really funny. But I also really liked the abridged series Bulma because she's great. She's sassy. We love a sassy gal.
We love a sassy queen.
Gal. Emily, who are your goodest men?
Okay, so my best boys. I do have two other honourable mentions that are separate on the list, apparently. I'll go to them last.
I won't mention them.
My number one goodest boy is James Norrington from the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. That is my favourite trilogy, and James Norrington is my favourite character next to Bootstrap Bill, who I could not fit on this list.
No, because he's not a good boy.
Kind of, yeah. He's ambiguously good. But James Norrington, peak. I love him. Everything he did in those series, although he was the villain technically of the first film, everything he did was within his own complete right. He never did anything wrong. He tried to rescue Elizabeth, but he could have potentially died trying to do it. So he ended up trying to call other people for help. All this other stuff that people think he's horrible for, but he's actually just really... I will apologise for this man till the day that I die. He just wanted his job back, because Jack Sparrow completely ruined his life. Or depending on the way you look at it, Will Turner. Mr. Freeze is a wonderful man. I love him. Very great villain.
He loves his wife. That's what
loves
we love
his
about
wife,
him.
yes. He's a family guy. Egon Spengler from the Ghostbusters films. I love my intelligent men.
I saw him coming on the stream and I was like, it's Emily's.
Emily's. He collects spores, molds, and fungus. He was the one I loved as a kid to pieces. I thought he was really great. He's really funny. Shikamaru Nara from Naruto. My favourite character from Naruto.
Great choice.
He's, again, very intelligent, very fun strategist character. Yeah. Professor Impossible, I'd be shocked if anyone knew who this was. There's a really good TV show that got horrifically short-sighted recently, called The Venture Brothers. It deserves a million times better. That show is amazing. It's a big parody of a bunch of superheroes, and Professor Impossible is a parody of Mr. Fantastic. But I love him because he's just a goofy guy. He's just a silly, goofy little fella. Hanzo from Overwatch is my favourite Overwatch character.
Woo.
He's so handsome, and he's so cool, and he's so broody, and he just sits in a corner and cries about his life. And everyone is just like, hey bro, please join us, you're really skilled. And he's like, no. Every single time. And then there's John from Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
Again, an amazing strategist character. I just really like strategy.
Peak development.
Peak development. I love him so much in that show. I can't wait to see what happens to him. I have no idea what's gonna happen.
We'll see.
In the next few seasons.
I know what happens.
You know what happens, yeah.
I'm not saying anything.
Yeah. And then we have Vegeta and Garrus in the corner. Yeah. Vegeta's development, peak.
Yeah.
Garrus, amazing character in Mass Effect, who I love to pieces. The second I saw him, I was like, yes. That's mine now.
I'm very Vegeta core,
yeah,
but you give Vegeta vibes as well, just more controlled.
Yeah. I think so. I think we both have a little bit of the Vegeta dog in us.
It's fine. We love it. How about your women?
My ladies, we got Poison Ivy.
We both have, like, technically villainous women.
Yeah.
But people get us.
Yeah.
People get us.
I think most people would understand why I would like Poison Ivy.
Yeah, 100%.
I think she's really intelligent. She's really cool. Again, a strategist in a way. There's Rogue from the X-Men, who I love Rogue. I want her hair so badly. Tamari from Naruto again.
Of course, you're like that. Shikamaru. You're like
Shikamaru and Tamari.
You're like with me and with Batman and Catwoman. If I have the power couple,
yeah,
and then you have Tamari and Shikamaru.
Yeah, I think that something about Tamari and Shikamaru's first fight together.
Oh, it was so interesting.
So good. It was really
so
clever.
Good. I love how clever it was.
It was really well done. Their whole arc together, amazing. Horizon from Apex Legends, obviously. Woo! Again, an intelligent lady, who I found out through the voice actor has ADHD as well, so I relate. She's a 100-year-old woman.
Love that for her.
I think she's older than that, actually. Because she was in a black hole at some point. Hanji from Attack on Titan. Hanji is my favorite. I love them so much. Yeah, I can't say again. It's just strategists. Yeah, I love Maggie from The Walking Dead. She's very much like self-assured. She knows what she's doing. Mm-hmm. She's really clever. She's really like she goes out and she does stuff. She gets stuff done, and I love that about her. She's one of the most useful and one of the most insightful characters in the show, and her and Glenn are the most amazing power couple in that show. And again, Glenn and Maggie are like my favorite duo in The Walking Dead. And then I also have Bulma.
Because we love Bulma.
Because Bulma's awesome.
Bulma's great.
Bulma's the best female character in Dragon Ball.
Oh boy.
Oh good.
Do you want to say our number ones together?
Oh, no.
On 3, we just say their name.
What, like at the same time?
At the same time. And then you go over then. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Dennis Reynolds.
Red flag.
Oh, no. So many side eyes.
We're gonna get like hunted down and questioned.
We're gonna get cancelled, Emily. Yeah. This is it for us. This is the end.
It's okay though. We can explain away.
No, we can't.
As best we can.
No, we can't. We literally cannot. Emily, on their villain's wiki page, it scrolls several times.
Is that also a red flag?
Crimson.
We found out Dennis has more crimes than Eric Cartman. Which is like insane. Because what hasn't Eric Cartman done?
Not as much as Dennis, apparently.
I suppose, yeah, my number 1, Dennis Reynolds from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
It just gonna happen out of nowhere for you.
Yeah, it literally, I've been meaning to watch It's Always Sunny for a really long time, and I recently binge watched the entire show that's on Netflix. I haven't got to the last season. The last 2 seasons aren't on Netflix, unfortunately.
Not for you, at least.
But I did manage to binge all the way up to when the gang's in Ireland. And that's a really funny season. But I think Dennis's descent into madness is insane.
It's so
to watch. It's so funny. Like
so funny.
Glenn Howerton is an amazing actor. You can tell that man went to Juilliard because he's genuinely so good at delivery. Like I think he gets praised a lot for his comedic line delivery.
Oh yeah, his deliveries are great. There's so many moments that are so funny.
Yeah. Purely based on just the way he says something. It could be a normal sentence.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the way that he delivers it is immediately more funny than anything else going on in the room. This is so good. I also love the picture. Is
he getting stabbed with
They were supposed to throw darts at his hand. And it's that specifically, that episode is really good. It's called Chardy McDennis.
Okay.
And it's a game show, a game they've created, like a board game, where they I think the whole point was they were supposed to throw darts at his hand, and he is not supposed to react to anything. And he doesn't, and Dee just looks at him in the funniest way possible while they're doing it, because they're on a team. Dee and Dennis are usually on a team together. It's such a good episode. Anyway, I could rant about Dennis for ages, but like he's entertaining in the exact same way that like a Patrick Bateman character is.
He's from American.
Yeah, it's American Psycho.
American Psycho.
Yeah. Because like I don't. If Dennis spoke to me, I would hate him.
Yeah.
He is a horrible person.
Yeah.
Genuinely. Like,
I think with our last two favorite characters, it's because they're portrayed as villains.
Yeah.
They're bad people.
Yeah.
And that's what makes them entertaining.
Yeah. I think at least with Sunny.
Yeah.
Every single main character, they're all supposed to be horrible. The joke is on them every single time.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of Dennis, is Dennis is arguably the worst of their characters.
Mm-hmm.
But there is, again, nuance to it
that
I find really interesting. Not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily redeem him.
No.
Not at all.
No.
I'm not saying that.
Every single episode just gets worse.
I think he's my favourite because he's kind of like an exaggerated stereotype of all of my favourite characters.
Yeah.
I think that's why I like him.
I get that completely.
Because he's not only got some of the best deliveries on the show, all of them are very good, strong characters, but there's just something about Dennis I really, really love to bits. And I think he just slowly descends into worse territory every single episode, and it's getting harder and harder to like and understand why he's doing that.
At this point, you just go back and go,
yep,
that's what he does.
Things just happen in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. You just have to accept that it's now happening.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, okay. Well, it's like you just have to convince yourself, like, they're bad people. That's
Dennis.
That's Dennis. That's your boy. This is your man.
I'm sweating.
You're sweating. I've got saber too.
Let's go.
Where do I start?
Where do you start?
Fuck. He's like every single thing I like in a character.
Yeah.
Turned up to 100
Yeah.
and then put into a villain.
Yeah.
He's basically an evil Wolverine.
Yes.
Twice his height and worse.
Twice as destructive.
Oh yeah. This man. Whereas like for example, Endeavor really cares about like not causing collateral damage, not hurting like civilians and stuff like that. Sabretooth does not give a fuck.
All of that chivalry out the window.
Sabretooth, Victor Creed does not care.
By the way, sick name.
Oh yeah, Victor Creed is a
awesome
dope name. He's so cool. He's also like 200 something years old or something like that.
Really?
And like his backstory is really tragic, right? Because he's a mutant.
Yeah, of course.
And he was Canadian. He's Canadian.
He was Canadian.
No, he is Canadian. but what I was trying to say,
that's the worst thing you can be.
I did a list of like my most like concerning dangerous characters on TikTok like ages ago.
Yeah.
And I put like I was like cannibal, massive villain, Canadian as like one of the negatives. And I was 100% joking, but I had a couple people being genuinely insulted. And I was like, dude, I'm just kidding.
No, wait a minute, we love you, Canada.
We love Canadians. But what's interesting is that he was born in Canada in like over 200 years ago.
Yeah.
And he was born a mutant, and in this, mutants are discriminated against, obviously. And he had, I think he has a brother called Saul and a sister called Clara. So obviously I'm biased. And his dad saw him starting to get fangs and claws, locked him in a basement, tied it with chains, would rip out his nails and fangs. But obviously he has a healing ability, so they will always come back. So he was never allowed to come out of the basement because of it. And he was also very, very abusive to his mother. And then Victor escaped and killed him and his brother. And I think he also killed his brother over a piece of pie or something like that. It was a whole thing. He was not well to begin with, but that made him worse.
Yeah, I can imagine it didn't help.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot to go into it. I haven't read it in a while.
Yeah.
But that was him as a kid. That's what happened to him as a child.
Yes.
And then he grew up and he does not care for human lives.
Completely unforgiving.
He does not care. But not in the sort of like, bad was done to me, so I must do bad to others.
No, he just doesn't care.
He's just, I have the power to destroy people, therefore I will. Because it's fun. And that's what he's doing. He's basically if like all of like the he threw away his humanity, and it's as if he gave in completely to his feral instincts.
Yeah.
Completely. He calls women frail. That like frails, like that's the nickname. He'd call you frail. It's like whatever you want to say, frail, stuff like that. And he does not care for people's autonomy and stuff like that. His whole thing is how he can use someone to his benefit. And he is highly manipulative and a massive dick. right?
Yeah.
I do not like him when he's written as a mindless animal, because he's not a mindless animal. He's confused like Wolverine in a sense of he does not have, his memory doesn't work very well, because he went through the same stuff Wolverine did with Weapon X and all that.
Yeah.
So he's just like a dark version of Wolverine, where Wolverine is desperately clinging onto his humanity and trying to be a good boy. Sabretooth just does not care and wants to drag everybody else down with him.
I like his Gooba suit.
I like his suit, right? This is Birdie, by the way, which is like his psychic.
I think I've heard of Birdie.
Yeah, she's really interesting. And like in what she can read minds. And so one time she saw little baby Victor, and she felt really bad for him. And then when he snapped out of like her mind reading trance, he threw her into the water and was like, "Don't you dare feel bad for my kid, because that's not who I am anymore." Yeah. Essentially. So he's fully aware of like his past, but he's like, "Don't you dare feel bad for me." And I think that's really cool, because he's like, "No, I know I have a tragic past, but to be clear, I've sort of gone so much worse than that. It doesn't matter anymore."
He's essentially horror as a person.
Who?
In a way, horror. Just as a concept.
He's been nerfed in modern comics. In comparison to how he used to be, but he was such a dangerous threat. He like beat up the X-Men multiple times. If they didn't have Wolverine, they didn't know what to do with him, essentially. He also, unknowingly to him, had a son with Mystique. He didn't know it was Mystique, but he had a son called Graydon. And it's not funny, but it's really funny. Him and Birdie were getting attacked continuously by somebody that kept getting sent to them, right? And so they go, I think, to Paris or something to like search the person who did this. Turns out it's a guy called Graydon Creed, which is his son, who's not a mutant, and that's why he was sort of like disowned by his mother. And so he hates mutants because of Mystique, essentially, because he was like sent to boarding school, and it was a whole thing. But he just hates mutants. He's anti-mutant and all that because of Mystique. And this is the first time Victor's heard about him. And Graydon essentially kills Birdie in front of Victor. And Victor goes, "Man, only my son could be so evil." I was like, "Well, have fun, kid," and then leaves. And Graydon doesn't stop him. And he doesn't care that he killed Birdie. And it's what the hell? He's like so evil. It's like that. This chick he's dependent on, and like he depended on her for like to soothe his mind, like his feral instincts, with her mind reading, with her telepathy. And then he doesn't have her anymore, and then he basically begs Jean Grey to help him, but she refuses to, because I think that's valid. But
I feel like it makes sense to not want to work with Sabretooth.
he became a good guy for a while. When they with like a whole plot line where some of the villains became good. It was a whole thing. Like their minds got changed essentially, and it was really interesting because he was trying to be good, but you could still see that nobody treated him well. For valid reasons, obviously. We don't defend him. And even though he was good, he was still dickish, but like in a fun way. But then it's like almost like he got a chance at being good, but then he gave it up to save his son from hell, which is a whole thing, because Marvel is like that. So there's a lot of nuance to him again, but he's also, at the end of the day, he's a jackass. And like you don't want to be friends with him, and you don't want him on your team. Why did Magneto have him on his team? It's not worth it. This guy does not care. But it's just, I guess it's because again he knows what he's about. And he's a jackass, and he knows it, and he owns it. Even though he's committed pretty much every single crime imaginable. It's kind of like, it's just like, as a fictional character, it's really, really fun, because in a world where you have full of like morally grey characters, having one character who has been around for who knows how many years, and has just been a threat to everybody. Consistently. Well. He's been a threat to Iron Fist. Like his first appearance was an Iron Fist comic. In Iron Fist, like number 14 or something. I own a copy of it. He's been a threat to Daredevil. He's been a threat to, obviously, Wolverine many, many times. He's been a threat to Spider-Man. He's been a threat to everybody, consistently. And he's never really changed in his mindset. There's been moments when he's had, like, he's been morally ambiguous or, like, morally grey. But at the end of the day, his crimes are so bad.
So awful.
But he's so interesting as a character.
I think design-wise alone, he's just really awesome.
Oh, I love his design. His design is everything I love in a character. It's like,
It's almost like his hair is always so cool.
I love his, like, also the fluff of his cheeks.
The mutton chops.
And he's blonde with gold eyes. Sometimes blue eyes, but usually golden eyes.
I think blue suits him quite well.
Yeah. I think he probably had blue eyes, but then when his mutant's powers started showing, they turned gold.
Yeah, that makes sense. Genetically, it also makes sense.
But he's cool. I love him, and he's evil. And I think he's the same with Dennis, of like, because he's a villain, and he's portrayed as a villain, he's not sympathetic.
No.
But because of his, like, force in the story, and his, like, role in the story, it's absolutely fascinating to read.
Yeah.
And I adore him to bits as a fictional character, because he's so interesting. But as a person, I would not be seen in any range. I would not be seen in the same country as him.
No.
I would run.
I'd be there with you. No thanks.
If we saw Dennis and Sabretooth, we'd like go around like
if I saw like if someone like Dennis Reynolds spoke to me, I don't know what I would do.
I'd slap him on your behalf.
Yeah, I would like you to. I think.
So those were our most concerning favorite characters. Woo! I just want to talk a little bit about something I've seen happen in the modern day.
Yes.
A lot of people, I don't know what it is, I think especially online of like with the younger generation especially, because I don't see this so much with like old fans, but like with younger fans, when you say, oh, I like this flawed character, there's such like a Puritan attitude towards it. Because like, it's like, oh, I like this character. People automatically think it means you support their actions.
Yeah.
I've seen that so many times. Like, for example, I really like Dream SMP Osandu's character, right?
Yes.
And I really like him because there's like loads of layers and nuance.
Yeah.
But the amount of time somebody's like, wow, you like a prison warden? You like a guy who uses a child as blackmail? I'm like, obviously I don't support what he did, but there's reasons to why he did it.
It's just like people don't understand the difference between like essentially condoning somebody and then also just liking a character arc.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's still got nothing to do with whether or not we support them.
No.
Like, I don't support anything that the Riddler has ever done.
No, of course
but
not.
I still think he's really fun to watch, he's fun to read, and he's fun to learn about. Mm-hmm. It's all to do with having any stakes in a story at all.
Yeah.
Like, every character has to have a flaw or they're not a person.
Yeah.
Like,
your favorite character cannot be an unproblematic baby.
Yeah.
Because then nothing happens.
That immediately makes them incredibly boring.
Yeah.
Usually most of the time. So some really nice characters, they'll have like minute flaws, but in a way it's almost like a flaw to be that positive.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's like, it really depends how you go about it. But there are like, if you just like, if you think that a character, if you think, I think one of the things that gets me is if like they don't understand how you can like a villain, period.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
It's like if you don't like a villain, that's confusing to me. I don't understand what would have had to have happened for you to think that way.
I think it's because when you say, oh, I don't know what it is. I think when you say, oh, I like this character.
Yeah.
It's almost as if that person thinks you like that person.
Yeah.
It's like you said, oh, this is my favorite character. It's like, oh my gosh, do you not know all the horrible things they did?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, because they're a character. Character.
Yeah, they're not real.
No, it's like
if anyone in real life did any of those things,
no, of course not.
We wouldn't support it.
No, of course
obviously.
not. Of course not.
It's stupid we'd even have to say it in the first place. Is the thing. I think that's why it's important to bring that to light. I think the
amount of times I've been on TikTok and it'd be like, oh my gosh, I really like Endeavor. I think he's a really interesting character. Blah blah blah. And somebody's like, oh my god, you support an abuser? It's like, where in my sentence did I say I support anything?
That's not at all
what do you mean? That is not what having a favorite character is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I don't personally see characters as real people because they're not. But
they think you're in like a football team.
I don't understand. I don't get it.
Weird.
There's a weird connection of not being able to separate fiction from reality.
Yeah.
In there. And also not being able to see a character as a character. Because when I say I have my favorite character, it's not because of them as a person. It's their role in the story. It's their design. It's the symbolism they're meant. Like what themes they portray in the story. What are they? Yeah. Looking at it from a bird's eye view, what is their point as a character?
Yeah.
And usually I like a character that gets the story moving. And that's usually the threat.
Yes.
The character who's a threat, who makes the protagonist do something.
Yeah, or one of those protagonists that gets stuff done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Owen, for example.
Love Owen
Really
Smith.
good example of it.
Great. Owen Smith is so cool.
Yeah.
Or like characters who are good boys, like Daredevil.
Yes.
The goodest of boys. But are so intrinsically flawed in themselves, have so much problems within themselves.
Yes.
That they try and do as much good as they can. Like for example, he's a lawyer and he's a really good lawyer because he's like for free basically.
Okay.
It's for free and they win the case and then they get the money that way.
Oh,
sort of
okay.
thing. I think is what it is.
Yeah.
It's like quid pro quo or something like that. There's a term for it. And it's like I love deeply flawed characters. And we love deeply flawed characters who take responsibility for their actions.
Yeah.
But for example, Endeavor, I will not stop talking about how amazing of a character Endeavor is and how beautifully written he is. Horikoshi has outdone himself. And on the other hand, we love the characters who are the problem.
Yeah.
Who make the story move along.
There's also a difference, I think, between a character like that we find fun to watch.
Yeah.
And then a character that you just love to hate.
Oh, yeah, there's a big difference.
There's a character specifically in The Green Mile, which is one of my favourite films of all time, called Percy. And I hate his guts. I cannot look at his actor because it hurt me so deeply what he does in that entire movie.
The actor's done nothing wrong and you're just like...
And although it hurts me to literally look at him, and because I hated him so emotionally, I can still objectively say that is a really good character.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that is a solid good character. Not good as in a good person.
No,
because he's horrible.
No, but a good character, and that's the thing.
He didn't even necessarily commit any massive atrocities.
No.
It's just like, what he did was it so personally affected me.
Yeah.
Something snapped in me, and I just hated him. I've
Yeah.
never felt pure hate for a character in my life before until I met Percy. I'm not even joking. If you've seen The Green Mile, you know what I'm talking about. But like, it's awful. It's a really good feeling though, I think, because their intention, the writer's intention, completely hit its mark.
Yeah.
With that, that's what makes a good, well-written character.
Yeah.
If they make you feel something genuinely like that passionately.
Yeah. I think my problem is when somebody says, "Oh, they're just bad," but then they can't look at it objectively.
No.
Of he is a well-written, amazing character who you're meant to hate.
Yeah, they're supposed to hate him.
Yeah, there's a difference. And
that
I think
doesn't make him a bad character.
No, but that's my personal gripe.
Yeah.
Of when people are like, "Oh, this character is bad, therefore they are bad, and I will hate him." And it's like, can you please look at it objectively?
Yeah.
Where the character's really, really well written and really interesting and portrays really interesting themes in the story.
Yes.
Like, for example, Skekmal has nothing going on, essentially. But he's so important because he's the threat, he's the high stakes.
The mystery of why, because all of the Skeksis in the Dark Crystal, they're all together most of the time.
Yeah.
He's the only one that they're all terrified
They
of.
do things, he does everything on his own.
Yeah.
Which is really
Which
interesting.
makes him more interesting
And you
than
see
most
him
of
how
them.
much of a threat the Skeksis could be.
Yeah, exactly.
Because at the moment they're all kind of just like nice and friendly and whatever, pretending to be manipulative.
They're being manipulative.
And then he's out there just murdering people. And it's like, oh, okay.
They're all gaslighters. I love them.
Except him, who's just, I know
He tells the truth brutally.
Oh yeah, and I love that.
He's one of the most interesting characters purely because he's
different.
Because because again I don't know, you'd have to please watch the show.
Oh yeah.
Please get it back on Netflix again.
Watch Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance. It's so good.
It's so good.
Yeah, my only thing is like the amount of times I've been like, oh, I love this character, and somebody's been like, how dare you?
Yeah, no, I have to say.
And I'm just like, but I said character, not person.
Yeah.
What? First of all, they're not even real.
Yeah.
If you're so personally affected by a fictional character to the point that somebody's saying, wow, that character, I like it, makes you so angry, you have to yell at the person. I feel that's a you problem.
Yeah, definitely.
As someone who hated a character so much, and whenever I saw her, I made that very clear.
Yep.
I know. I regret those times. X23, the bane of my existence.
I drew a picture of X23 and you just like looked at me. You looked at me different ever since.
I
was so mean to me.
I was so mad.
I just thought she was really cool.
No.
I didn't. She's not an I never read anything of her comics.
I get it. She's hot. I get that. But it's just because I hate her so much because of her what she represents as a character.
Yeah.
Not necessarily of her story or whatever. I think her story is awfully boring.
Yes.
But like everything she represents as a character, I hate. Because of what she is,
yeah,
and I think
she's
that
like an
her
archetype of that.
I think that her existing is a waste of space.
Interesting.
But people like her, and that's okay. And I've
you
matured.
Don't hate those people.
I've matured since. I never hated them. I just hated the fact she was in my face. And I've learned since then to just mind my own business. And so when people come across to me and go, meh,
you kind of see your old
you
self
like
in
this
them a little
character,
bit.
I'm like, you are a 15-year-old child. You shut up and you go back in your corner. Delete your comment because you're going to regret it in 10 years.
Yeah, you'll regret it.
Everything you've ever said online, you're going to regret it.
I regret everything
5
I've said,
years.
yeah.
I regret stuff I said 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I I regret stuff I said when I first joined the Dream SMP community just because I wasn't ready for how feral the community is.
No, yeah.
Especially 2 years ago.
Oh,
man.
Yeah.
We're old enjoyers of things. We're old. We're not old.
We're old enough.
We're old enough to have experience and be like, just enjoy things, stop taking things so seriously.
Yeah, please.
Please understand that media, please, media literacy. Stop looking at everything at face value.
Yeah.
Enjoy things a little bit deeper. Go a little bit deeper into things. Stop misunderstanding things when you watch / read it. If you can't explain the basic rules of a universe / story, you need to watch it again. You need to read it again.
Yeah.
This is maybe a little bit targeted at My Hero Academia fans, but I have a lot to say.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm stepping down.
You're stepping away. You're sliding away. Basically, just have fun and stop taking things so seriously and personally.
I think my advice would be if somebody likes a character you wouldn't usually enjoy, instead of attacking that person per se, maybe try and understand why, because it might change your perspective of that character.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Especially if they're really passionate about them.
Yeah.
If they do want to be like that character and they're horrible,
that's weird.
Maybe never talk to them again, because there are some people out there that want to be the Joker, and those people terrify me.
Yeah. I say far away from anybody who calls themselves an apologist of anything.
Yeah.
Because, like, you with Norrington is valid. I get that. But I also,
because a good person.
Also because I get you. I understand you. You're my friend. I get it.
Yeah.
But anybody who calls themselves a something apologist, I'm stepping away. I don't like those people. They freak me out.
Some of them, obviously, ironically, it's funny.
Yeah, ironically, it's funny. When somebody is like, Darth Vader apologist, I'm just like, I'm like, okay.
Anakin apologist, Darth Vader, no.
No, exactly. But somebody's like, being like sarcastic about it. It's like, that's fine. But when somebody's like being very, very genuinely an apologist about something, cannot stand it. It drives me up the wall because it means like, I have nothing to apologize. He has nothing to apologize for because he did nothing wrong. It's like, he burnt somebody's house down.
I like when people are just like, in his defense, Your Honor, he's just a silly little guy.
Yeah, that I'm like, okay, you just want to simp in peace.
That only applies, by the way, to silly little guys. You can't just say that about, like, I don't know, Sabretooth.
I'm not. Sabretooth is not a silly little goober.
Dennis Reynolds is not a silly little guy. The Riddler might be.
Dennis Reynolds thinks he is.
He thinks he is.
He's delusional enough to think he is.
He could get away with it.
He could get away with it.
Charlie Kelly is a silly little guy.
Yeah, Charlie Kelly's a silly little goober. So, are we ashamed of our favorite characters?
No.
Should we be? I'm not. I've got merch on my bad boys. I'm getting more. I'm gonna be buying all the Sabretooth comics. Woo!
Give me all the Riddler merch right now. Put it in the bag.
Not in this economy, Emily.
We are painfully starved for Riddler content.
You guys have nothing.
No,
currently.
We can't eat.
It's okay.
We're starving.
It's alright. I'm currently being fed by Horikoshi himself with my Endeavor content.
You get some great
This man draws Endeavor getting beaten up by All For One.
Yeah.
And draws him looking gorgeous.
Yeah.
In My Hero Academia, right, there's a character called Toga.
Okay.
And she, like, sees Deku beaten up for the first time, and she falls in love with him instantly.
Oh.
That's how I feel towards Endeavor being beaten, getting a button to a crisp. I'm like, he's hot! Oh no! If you think any less about us for liking our favorite characters, I don't know, cry about it, seethe.
we don't feel different either way.
No, I've loved Sabretooth since I was 13. It's not gonna stop anytime soon.
Yeah. No, same with Riddler.
Yeah, no. We feel no shame. We feel no shame. We know a good villain when we see one.
Yeah.
And we love them and we appreciate them for what they are in the story. And we know that they're evil and that they're bad and that they're not good people. And that's what's fun to watch because we're not like that. And
I'd also be interested generally in what you guys have as some of your problematic characters.
And actually problematic characters, please. Yeah. Actually, not like, oh, Itachi from Naruto. It's like, shut up.
Stop that to me.
Well, if you guys have any characters you thought you should be ashamed of, but in the end of the day,
please tell us. We understand you.
If you make a comment and I delete it, that's because you should be ashamed of yourself. So if you made a comment and you see it's gone, that's because I do not approve of your comment because I think you're wrong. Anybody says they like the Boys TV show, in hell. Go in the corner.
As we know,
feel bad.
Grimmi Jaggers is the end all of opinions.
My opinions are objective and the truth and the final word.
My opinions are nothing compared to the great wisdom of Grimmi Jaggers. Goodbye, everybody.
Anyway, bye-bye, everyone.
We
Until
love you
next
guys.
time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, because...
Usual heights, I guess.
Do you want to go to my bedroom? Go to my bedroom.
I do apologize.
No, it's fine.
alright,
Don't worry.
I've been banished.
You gotta survive.
Been vanished.
You can, if you wanna, you can do the covers properly. And if you wanna lie down a bit, you're very welcome to.
I'm alright.
All right.
Alright, let's continue.
We've banished Emily's boyfriend.
Yeah, we've banished him to the
Because he's
shadow
dying. First of all, meet Sam. I'm begging
Sam's
you.
dying.
Sam's dying.